Greetings, fellow adventurers, and welcome to the Couple of Nerds podcast. I'm DnDWife, the creator of DnDWifeStories.com, and your co-host. Joining me is the man behind the screen, my brilliant dungeon master, and also my husband, Eguile. Say hi, Eguile.
Hey everyone, excited to be here sharing our nerdy adventures with all of you.
Absolutely. So what's Couple of Nerds all about? Well, we're diving into the realms of Extrayus, sharing our experiences, playing D&D in our apartment, and exploring the intricate tapestry of relationships both in and out of the game.
And we got some exciting segments for you all, from lore deep dives to crafting tips, artwork showcases, and relationship advice on and off the table. We've got a little bit of everything for every kind of adventurer.
So whether you're a seasoned adventurer or a tabletop newbie, we invite you to join us today. Tune in, relax, and enjoy the magic of Couple of Nerds. May your rolls be natural 20s and your adventures be legendary.
I remember when I was just a young elf, filled with dreams of the stars and the mysteries they held. The elders used to tell us tales of the arcane magics that shaped our world, of how the first stars danced across the heavens, birthing the universe itself. Now, as I gaze upon the same stars, I feel a weight upon my heart, a sorrow born of knowledge and foresight. For too long my people have walked a path of ignorance and folly, believing themselves to be greater than the other races, blessed with magic beyond compare. They wield the power of the Fae without understanding its true nature, without realizing the consequences of their actions, and in their hubris they have forgotten the very essence of our existence, the cosmic magics that bind us all. The stars above seem to mourn our ignorance, their twinkling lights a silent lament for what once was and what may yet come to pass. And as I sit in my observatory, surrounded by the tools of my trade, I cannot help but feel a sense of guilt gnawing at my soul. I have dedicated my life to the study of the heavens, to unraveling the secrets of the cosmos, but even I cannot ignore the signs that surround us. The balance of the world is fragile, a delicate dance between light and darkness, creation and destruction. If we continue on our current path, if we continue to wield the power of the Fae without reverence or restraint, we will bring ruin not only to ourselves, but to all who inhabit this world. Yet amidst the shadow of despair, there is still a glimmer of hope, a faint whisper in the night breeze that speaks of redemption and renewal. Perhaps it is not too late to change our ways, to seek understanding and enlightenment before it is not too late. But such a task will not be easy, for the roots of our folly run deep, entwined with the very fabric of our society. As I sit here beneath the canopy of stars, I cannot help but wonder how we, the elves, have strayed so far from the path of wisdom. Once we were stewards of the natural world, guardians of the cosmic balance, but our magic has become tainted, twisted by pride and ambition. I remember the tales of our ancestors, of how they communed with the spirits of the forest and the elements themselves. They understood the interconnectedness of all things, the delicate harmony that bound us to the world around us. But now, that harmony has been shattered, replaced by discord and chaos. The firstborn elves, in their arrogance, believe themselves to be the masters of magic, the heirs to a legacy that spans millennia. They look down upon the other races, seeing them as little more than children, playing with toys they do not understand. They fail to see that true power lies not in domination, but in harmony. I have found that cosmic magics are the root of all creation, the very essence of existence itself. They flow through the veins of the world, shaping its destiny and guiding its course. And yet, we have turned our backs on these magics, blinded by our own arrogance and ambition. I refuse to let our folly condemn us to darkness. I will do whatever it takes to restore the balance, to reclaim the wisdom of our ancestors and heal the wounds that we have inflicted upon the world. For I believe that even in the darkest of times, there is always a glimmer of hope, a darkness of light that can illuminate the path forward. The journey ahead will not be easy. There are those among my people who will oppose me, who will cling to their misguided beliefs and fight to maintain the status quo. I will not falter, for I know that the fate of our world hangs in the balance, and I must protect those who are most precious to me. As I stand upon the precipice of change, I cannot help but feel a sense of trepidation. The path ahead is shrouded in uncertainty, and the dangers that lie in wait are manifold. I draw strength from the stars above, from their silent guidance and unwavering presence. I know that I cannot do this alone. Sontar, my beloved, together we will confront the darkness that threatens to consume us, and we will forge a new future, one built upon understanding, compassion, and unity for our daughter. But first, I must seek out those who are willing to listen, to open their hearts and minds to the truth that lies beyond their narrow perceptions. Only then can we begin to unravel the tangled web of our own making and restore the balance to the world. The stars whisper to me of challenges yet to come, of trials that will test my resolve and my faith. I welcome these challenges, for I know that they are necessary for growth and transformation. As long as the light of hope burns bright within me, I will press onward, undeterred by the shadows that seek to engulf us. Together, we embark upon a quest to restore balance to the world of Extrayus, to heal the wounds that we have inflicted upon the very fabric of existence. Sontar, in the early morning, has set sail with our daughter to the Mirren continent, to hide her from the council should they try to use her gifts as a tool. Once she is hidden, Sontar will try to heal the lands of Extrayus. He believes that he may have found a way to speak to the world itself. Yet I press onward, undeterred by the dangers that lie in wait, for I know that the fate of the world hangs in the balance, and we are willing to risk everything to set things right. Our journey is far from over. There are still challenges yet to come, trials that will test our courage and our resolve. But with the stars as our guide and hope as our beacon, we press onward, knowing that our quest is just beginning. Will you stand by my side as we confront the darkness that threatens to consume us, my love? Will you join me on this journey of discovery and redemption, if it means we have to sacrifice everything we know?
Oh, wow. That was
that
was awesome.
That's a lot to take in all at once.
That was a lot of information, but welcome everybody to another episode of Couple of Nerds.
Yay.
I'm your host, DnDWife, and with me is my co-host and husband, Dungeon Master Eguile.
How's it going, everyone?
welcome to our lore drop segment. And in this segment, we dedicate it to kind of delving into the very rich lore of the homebrew world that we're trying to create for Extrayus.
Oh, yeah. And this is the kind of last part of the series we've been doing, which has been all about the races and species that exist in Extrayus and all kind of the special properties that each one of them have. And we saved this one for the last because it kind of had the most impact in the kind of starting of the development of Extrayus.
Yeah.
And that's our version of Elves. Now, obviously, there's probably hundreds of interpretations of Elves.
So many, yeah.
Right, and so with that, we wanted to have a really unique spin. And so the Extrayan Elves are very unique in the sense that they are entirely created from magic.
Yes, they are magical beings.
And so we want to really take the time, get into the roots, and look at what really created the Elves, and we want to basically give enough time, so we're going to do a two-parter on this one. So this is the first where we're going to look into the creation of the Elves themselves, look at how they developed and gained the various powers they did, and then look at also how they use that power to interact with the rest of the culture.
Origin story first.
Oh yeah, totally, right.
And I'm really excited just because obviously my character Luna, she is an elf.
Oh yeah.
So I'm really interested to find
Right.
out.
And then the uniqueness that comes in is in the current timeline, there really aren't any elves.
Ooh,
And so that's
yeah.
why it plays even more interesting, because Luna herself doesn't really know her story either because
all
of the whole
alone.
memory loss.
Yeah.
You know, amnesia is always a good one. But really, when we first look into the elves themselves, when Extrayus was kind of developing, and as we've gone on with the creation of Extrayus, is that it was formed after the destruction of the multiverse. And all those energies eventually coalesced and created the core of Extrayus under the guidance of Survive.
Yes.
And so during that time, we saw the Mirren eventually, during the millennia of creation, be developed, these kind of primal animals, these beasts.
Yes, the creatures of the world kind of created, or not created, but like became a little more sentient.
And so as that development started, that created that life. And through that life, the magical energies started to kind of condense in the world of Extrayus.
Yeah.
At first, really just these strands of the various magical energies that had essentially been blown to bits. But took millennia to finally start rewiring themselves is the best way to look at it.
Yeah.
Because we have a lot of new magics in Extrayus. And so that magic needed a conduit to grow and develop. And what it ended up doing is mirroring kind of this creation that was going naturally.
What was occurring?
And created the elves. These beings made entirely from arcane magic. So when they first came to be, they were kind of these people that were through various stages of development. Some adults, some children, some infants. Almost like,
that's interesting.
It's almost as if like an image of a being was used to create the elves through the magic.
Yeah. Now, did the children like come with their parents, or was it just random?
See, there was no familial tie, as these creatures just came to be. So it's not, it's just more of these creatures came through various stages of development, which could probably be linked to various users of those magics. And it could be their images that were used to create this new species.
Sort of templates.
Yeah, and so our elves don't have like the standard features of elves. Like they're not all long silvery hair. They do have very kind of uniform features, pointy ears, but it's less of like the, oh my god, they're so gorgeous. And more of just beings that if like you look closely within their skin, you could see kind of arcs of magic.
And they're just very well created because they're sort of perfect conduits for magic,
made like perfectly sculpted from clay, and you get that smoothness, and it never changes because they weren't birthed, they were created.
Yeah, they came to be.
Yeah, and so because of this, and really what led to their dominance, especially when it comes to magic, is they have this innate ability to read magic. So they can actually take those strings of the weave and they can pull apart individual strands. And each of those strands is theoretically a spell, an ability, a magic. And they can read every instance a certain spell is cast. So if, say, in your campaign out there, listeners, and you cast the gate spell, our elves would actually see that in the web of the weave and would actually pull that out and go, what's that? They don't know that it's called gate. They don't know exactly the mechanics, but they have the essence of the spell. And doing that, they're able to then pull that out and transcribe it to a book.
And learn how to do it themselves.
And thus learn how to create spells.
So that's how
magics.
The first ones were able to start casting magic.
And they started transcribing these books. And all these spell books began to be kind of distributed around. And as the magic's using more and more frequently, it's building stronger within the world of Extrayus.
Wow.
So it's kind of this like very symbiotic relation. As the magic grew in the land, so did the strength of the elves. And what they eventually found is they started gaining mastery over all the divisions of arcane, whether it's necromancy, conjuration, abjuration. They started finding a way of kind of scheduling themselves as how they have their strength was based on how many of the magical arts they would know and be control over.
Okay.
So that way it's like, hey, I can do all of them. That's going to be your
That's the
high
best.
tier elf,
Yeah.
right? That's going to be someone that has almost absolute control over the arcane.
Okay, I see.
And really, I know for a lot of people out there, especially our listeners, is like everyone has a different version of elf. And I know when we really got started, we really wanted to put that essence of magic to elves and not the like perfection just because they are this perfect creature, this perfect specimen, and that's why they're pretty all the time, kind of like what you see in Tolkien elves and stuff like that. Ours are more of it's a better, in my interpretation, a better explanation of this perfection in that they are just absolutely these magical creatures.
Yes, they're perfect because they're built to conduce magic.
Yeah, and if any of you guys out there have any kind of unique interpretations of elves, please let us know. Let us know in the Discord. Let us know on YouTube if you have any special properties to your elves.
Yeah, something that makes them unique and special. That'd be amazing to see.
Oh, yeah. And so what ends up happening, too, is that the elves, as they specialize in these different arts, they also physically change because they are of the magic. So a conjuration elf might become a little kind of larger. They seem that things kind of around them kind of warp and change, and they're able to kind of manifest things much simpler than, say, someone who's just casting a conjuration spell. They become almost a master over that thing. And just by them having this mastery, they even start to evolve and create new magics just from their own thoughts.
Wow, so they're like more than level 20 sorcerers at this point.
Yeah, the easy way, like when you're like comparing to like Dungeons and Dragons, is like the elves are essentially a whole race where the moment they're born, they're automatically a sorcerer. Just straight off. It's not even a class. It's just they are all sorcerers, born of magic and of this essence, and then they can be all the other different kind of classes.
Yeah.
But the principal idea is that their entire being is magic. So like a concept would be like things like dispel magic and
could hurt them.
stuff would be very devastating.
Could
to
cause
the
possible
elves.
damage.
Which is why there's not a lot of those kind of spells in Extrayus, because the elves did everything in their power to prevent that spread. Because they really controlled what magic and what spells were put out there.
Learned. Wow.
Yeah, but as with all things, it kind of causes those problems when you start becoming the
so powerful
supposed masters of all magic, is that you start to go and you want more.
Yeah.
Right. And so the big thing that the elves kind of caught up in is they found this kind of single drop. This single drop of magic that happened to hit Extrayus that they had never seen before. And this unique mystical energy they found just had this extreme potential for magical.
Super powerful,
though very, very chaotic. It had kind of random side effects.
Very volatile.
Right. And so they kind of got hooked on this magic.
Oh, no.
More from a sense of just wanting to learn more.
Yeah.
It was magic. They're the masters of magic.
Of course.
Thus,
Why not learn it all?
It was something more to learn. But what we come to find out later, this energy was coming from a very unique place, and that was the Fae.
Yes.
As our resident Fae creator, you could only give us a kind of a taste of how crazy kind of the aspect of the Fae are in Extrayus.
Yeah, they were part of the Reaping Games just as much as the demons were, so it was a terrifying moment for the entire planet, as we've kind of hinted at in earlier lore drops. So they're not as innocent, even though what they give are called gifts. They're not always gifts, you know.
Oh, yeah. The gift you want to regift. So when they started kind of like using this energy and getting used to it, they started noticing changes to their own bodies, much like when any of the magics they learned. But what they didn't realize is they were slowly being like conditioned to kind of start pushing a connection. And they were told kind of like from like, the old, if you build it, they will come. And it was more of, if you let it grow, it will reach us.
And we'll be able to come over.
And we'll be able to come. And more power will come to you, right? A better connection.
Yeah.
And so this is when the elves suddenly got this idea and access to this magic. Now, most elves almost exclusively have no access to primal magics. It's just a type of magic they are not skilled at. It's a very kind of 1 in a million kind of thing for an elf to be able to access primal magic.
It's just tough, yeah.
They are more masters of the arcane. But suddenly they had access to this spell that would allow them to grow a giant plant. And what this led to was down the road was the creation or the growth of the Estelestar tree.
Yes.
And this is the massive tree in the early life of Extrayus that its roots spread to each continent and allowed now the intermixing of all the species before sea travel and all that. And so this was kind of tied into the elves' creation story because all the other races suddenly saw this tree sprout out of the ocean and connect the lands. And then these people appeared and started handing out gifts and skills and abilities and reached out for them to come to the tree and share in its gifts.
Wow, yeah.
So it really started to create this dichotomy of those without magical gifts seeing the elves as these saviors and these grantors of gifts and bounties, and those of the magical Mirren who saw, or excuse me, not Mirren, but the Hume. They kind of saw them as these grand elders of magic. So all these sides just kind of revered the elves, not realizing that with the tree and all the other races kind of congregating upon its roots were in fact helping it grow.
They were feeding it.
Yeah, their life forces, their energies were being absorbed indirectly through the tree and the roots that they were traveling upon, and were actually facilitating in its roots going deeper and deeper into the core of Extrayus.
Gotcha. Not enough to obviously that they would notice, because if it leeches off you enough, you notice, but must have been in small enough quantities.
Oh yeah, and the elves did a really good job of making sure to using their magics to mask any kind of negative impact. If any kind of illness, there was excuses and rules that would prevent people from finding out more information.
Wow. And did this also extend, let's say, like to the tips of the roots that were in these other continents? If there were towns nearby or something, would that affect people as well?
Yeah, as the roots spread out, they, for the most part, become subterranean. They dig down. Now, it's unknown to some of the cultures, but there is a lot of subterranean civilizations within Extrayus that are kind of unknown to the surface world. So they had their own impact when it came to the growth of the tree versus the surface species that didn't quite see it as a negative because they gained all this travel capacity.
Gotcha.
But the idea was that the elves was trying to push this idea of unity through the tree as a way of gaining more power for themselves. And as they did, they saw themselves as gaining more power from the Fae. But what they started to notice, in fact didn't notice, is that slowly they were actually altering their own mindsets. Their calm intellects that were all about research became more chaotic, more sporadic.
Did they end up believing that the Fae were these ancestors they would read about in the Weave?
Yeah, so as they started noticing this change, it started becoming pushed by the High Council, this idea that this is their ancestry. These creatures are the origin of magic, and if we are of magic, this is our kin.
Yes.
And thus that was the push to reach out to the Fae, because they were essentially, in their minds, returning home. And what they found was, as the tree grew to its kind of equinox, it started to allow some of the elves to go through changes. And what they would do is they would go into these little fruit pods that the tree was generating. And over time, they would change. And when they would emerge, the elf would be completely different in respect to their physical appearance, the abilities that they maintained. Their access to the arcane would fade, but their magical power would skyrocket.
What did they now wield? Fae magic?
Is more of the Fae, but as we know, as it is classified as chaos magic, in the fact that it can be very chaotic. And so what they started to notice is that with this power, the minds of those who went through the transformation kind of faded,
went a little sideways,
became a little more trickster. Some of them would play games or lose track of what was going on, disappear for months on end and act like nothing,
and then show right back up.
Whimsy became the name of the game, not knowledge and information. And so because of this, it started to become like an addiction. And it was, you tried to maybe take a risk and hopefully be someone who could come out and be unaffected. But in reality, they were just being coaxed into more and more energy of the Fae being brought into Extrayus, until eventually this little droplet became this little rope, became this long strand, became a cable, until it just became something that started dragging the Fae to Extrayus.
Oh my, the bridge to bring them.
So, I mean, this is just a small portion as we see the evolution of our elves, as they once started as these kind of creatures beautifully made from magic, perfect beings to teach,
conduct that
magic to the world, until they found just the one wrong magic.
Oh my.
And it slowly corrupted them and led them down to a path of literal hell.
And now Extrayus is having to deal with the consequences of what they did.
Very much so. And in the next part, on our next lore drop, we'll look more into their kind of the hierarchy,
their social structure
that they created, and how that hierarchy started this transition from being the wielders of the arcane to slowly pushing the Fae influence into the rest of the culture.
And how easy it was to put that on the people.
Oh, yeah. And that's really, you know, what marks the beginning of our creation story for Extrayus and its species. As much as the elves have brought so much good, they have brought terrible bad.
It was under a certain type of pretense.
I know.
And learning about all of this was so amazing, being able to see that, you know, they weren't born with malintent.
No. They were born with nothing. Out of all the races, they really had no understanding, and we'll go in more. They struggled even to repopulate.
A little naive
creatures born as adults and never understood how to reproduce.
It's tough, you know, when you're kind of brought into creation that way. Already set to go.
So once again, I appreciate everyone. I know
thank you so much.
You joining me as well in these really deep dives, and it's a lot to go into, but it
super
really
fun.
Gives you the essence of what Extrayus is and better understand. And be sure to join us on Discord, where we actually give more information on anything you can want. Mike's like our own personal Wikipedia.
Yes, on the Extrayus Project Discord, you can always ask questions as well, not just of ourselves, but of the players, and see what their perspectives are on some of the things.
And if you missed any of the lore drops, or you're interested in watching any of the lore drop monologues, excuse me, be sure to check out our YouTube page at the Couple of Nerds podcast on YouTube. We
have some fun videos up there already with some of the monologues that I think you will find really interesting.
Oh yeah, they're good. They're getting good.
Yep. And thank you so much for your support and participation. Stay tuned for future episodes, and be sure to join us for more Couple of Nerds. And also, if you like us, be sure to like, subscribe, leave comments, engage with us. Let us know what you think. And if you have any suggestions for anything else we could cover, or things that you think might fit into the world better, let us know. We might use it.
Yeah. Have a great night, everyone.
And thank you so much. Have a good night. And that concludes today's journey through the realm of Couple of Nerds. We hope you had a blast exploring the intricate world of Extrayus. Don't miss out on the visual extravaganza over at our YouTube page at Couple of Nerds Podcast. It's where the magic comes to life with exclusive video segments, art previews, and a peek behind the curtain.
Dive deeper into our adventures by visiting DnDWifeStories.com, your haven for all our podcast transcripts and a treasure trove of content dedicated to the captivating universe of Extrayus.
Your unwavering support is our greatest treasure. Take a moment to weave your thoughts into a review and hit that subscribe button for an enchanting journey with Couple of Nerds.
Join us beyond the podcast in the Extrayus Project Discord. Connect with us, the creators, and even the travelers themselves. Witness the magic unfold in live drawing streams, game alongside us, and step into our digital tavern, the Bard's Haven. Share your stories and characters with fellow adventurers. Visit DnDWifeStories.com for the link to join our vibrant community.
Stay tuned for more tales, more laughs, and more insight into the world of tabletop gaming. Until then, may your dice be kind, your campaigns epic, and your adventures legendary.